I'm Arden Meyer, aka ThatGuy. I'm the author of the July CTF, and tonight I'm going to do a quick rundown of how to solve that. First off, what I've got up here on the screen is actually DerbyCon's Twitter feed, and the why is because this was kind of the motivation. This is what led me to make the bulk of my CTF. Back in May, Dave Kennedy posted this on the Twitter, on DerbyCon's Twitter, and most of my CTF is where my brain went with his CTF. So all the wrong ways that my brain went. So since it is a bit of an homage to Dave, I'll first show you his video. So if you can see that, now that he's got a terminal up, he's running a Python script, and amongst the interference here, which is intentional, it's dumping out just some binary data. Now, if you decoded that binary data, it took you to a specific path. Forgot about that audio. But it took you to a specific path. Let me pause that before it restarts. It took you to a specific path on DerbyCon's site, which then led you to, they gave you some ASCII, some hashes and stuff, very similar to what you're going to see with mine. And then ultimately, his led to a YouTube video about we're all going to being friends together. We're going to get through this. I guess it was more still motivation from the pandemic or something. It jump-started a lot of people's heart thinking that that DerbyCon was going to be reconstituted, especially with the Windows startup sound and everything. But talking with Dave, I don't think he actually plans to resurrect DerbyCon anytime soon. Unfortunately for most of us. Okay. Here's the CTF that I created. So this was our landing page initially. It mentions that I was supposed to be here, but I skipped town because I literally did last month. During our meeting, I was down in Baton Rouge. Last seen going to the airport, dropped this piece of paper, see if you can decipher it, etc., and then mentions that I was going to be dropping hints via Twitter. That also gave me a mechanism to make sure that everybody got the hints at the same time. Nobody was getting a little sidebar with me here over some drinks and maybe getting extra hints. So this is okay, let's not do that. This is the cipher. I know a few people actually solved this before I gave out any hints, which was cool. On first glance, I think most everybody saw the two equal signs at the bottom, which most of us know is typical padding for base 64 encoding. I did that on purpose. This is not base 64 encoded. But if you understood base 64, and as some of my hints told you, it would help you understand this cipher. I dropped a couple of hints saying that everything that you need to solve it is in front of you. The key and the cipher text is there. And then I also dropped a hint saying that the key is that guy. Well, if we take that guy, can we see that? No, that's pretty small. Okay, I can zoom it up here a little bit, I think. So if we take that guy and we base 64 encode it, and then, wow, that really just made that tough to read. Okay, there we go. We can see that we get the output VG, HH, DC, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if we look at our code, that's this first column. Okay, so the first column is actually the key. The other 6 columns is the ciphertext. Now, I mentioned that if you understood base 64 encoding very well, it would help you with this. So how does base 64 encoding work? So your output from base 64, every character represents 6 bits. That's why if we take 3 ASCII letters, and base 64 encode it, we get 4 out of it. Because each output, those 4 represent 6 bits, so 4 times 6 is 28. 8 bits in an ASCII character, so 3 characters become 4. Let's take a quick look at the Wikipedia article on base64, and it shows us this lovely table, which if we happen to pay attention, it even gives us the binary. So let me pull up where I've already downloaded these. So here's the ciphertext. Now, if I take that and I extract, I put just the first column here on the left. This is the mapping, the binary mapping in the middle. And then over here, this is the other 6 columns. And then I further remove all of the characters that started with zeros, that represented in the zeros. We can see that we get the output of https://vimeo.com/727272615, or this. So that's what the cipher leads you to. And I did drop a hint telling you that it would go to a Vimeo link, hoping that you would then figure out the first half of the cipher, that you could make sure that you understood the binary representation. And then you would have to figure out which of these many numbers were the correct numbers. Now, moving from there, that takes us to Vimeo. And can we full screen this? So this video is SecDSM television. But then it got hacked. And of course, for the people actually here, you probably can't read that. Again, kind of an homage to Dave. Except whereas Dave used Python, I used Perl. So mine is Perl packets. And then we're initializing, dumping firmware, and then decrypting that firmware. And yes, I had some fun with my video editing. Does everybody recognize the video game? So as you went through the entire CTF, you saw several old video games. And then the cord got yanked. Now I did have a little audio sync problem there at the end, but ultimately I just said, screw it, close enough, push to prod, because I had places to go. Let me cancel out of this, because we don't want to watch whatever the next video was. Okay, so if we take that text and, let's see, is that this file? Nope. Oh, Vimeo text, there we go. So if we take the text that it outputted when it decrypted in that video, that's this string here. And that's just ASCII, nice and easy. So we can throw that into CyberChef as well. And it tells you that that's july.secdsm-minictf.org. Okay. I think a lot of people got here. That's great. In fact, let's just go ahead and open up that page. And now, if this is the first time that you did this, because you can see that I've got a little not secure here, you got a certificate warning. Now, I believe many people, and a few of you that I was watching do this once I came back from Baton Rouge, out of habit, we just click accept, right? Especially, it's a CTF. He must have used a self-signed cert. I didn't. The certificate here actually goes to a different website. You needed to catch that. And I tweeted out some hints about that. Several hints actually about TLS, how easy it is to make a mistake. Hasn't everybody done that? And then I followed it with, no, I didn't. Right? This wasn't on accident. This was done on purpose. We'll come back to that. Okay, So the first thing that we see is this lovely page full of cookies. I think most people figured out, well, let's look at the cookies. And when we look in here, we see that there is one cookie. Its name is path, and then it has a value of / there is no spoon / Okay. So then we're going to jump over to, actually, let's view the source on that while we're at this. Because especially as my students know, I like having a little fun. So yes, I named each of the cookies. Pictures are never going to give you up, never going to let you down. Okay, so we'll close that. So from the cookies, let's see, I think this would be the next page. There we go. Let me size this back down. So if you go to There Is No Spoon, you get this lovely little ASCII art, the little bunny holding a sign that we all remember was just dominating Twitter the last couple of years. Inside our sign, we have 2 groups of 3 sets of hashes, and then a 7th line. Now, we recognize, hopefully, you recognize these as hashes. If we dump these 6 hashes into CrackStation, like this, it very quickly identifies MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256, and it can pop them all instantly. They're all simple words. Hackers, sneakers, Matrix, and Archie, Gopher, Telnet. So 3 classic hacker movies, 3 really old school protocols. Again, as a bit of an homage, this is kind of how Dave did one of the parts of his aspect. He had 3 words. I don't even remember what they were or how they were related. But this will come in handy a little bit further down the line. Now, I think a lot of people got stuck here. They couldn't figure out what to do next. And I mentioned in one of my tweet hints was something about repeating old tricks. Well, if you examine your cookies again, now you'll see that there are 2 cookies. So we still have the never expiring There Is No Spoon. Oops, that's this one. And then we also have a different cookie set here that expires in less than a minute. So we need to do something quickly with this. That's already gone by. It's been more than a minute as I'm sitting up here talking, so we'll come back to this in a second. Let's talk about this last line that we see down here. Now this, hopefully, if you've played some CTFs, you probably recognize that starter, the 9EEADI. So that is going to be a ROT47. If you dump that in, you'll get a link to YouTube. So we'll come over to YouTube, and first off, and I know at least one person because they swear it at me, this is the thumbnail to this YouTube video. I know at least one person didn't watch the video for quite a while because he assumed this is going to be another Rickroll. This is actually not a Rickroll. Just the thumbnail is Rick Astley. We watched the actual video, and it's just telling you to go check yet a different directory. And other than the great beat, let's close that to kind of speed things along. So if we go to the C-Tech Astronomy directory, then we get presented with this. Now this is our classic from Zelda, It's Dangerous to Go Alone, take this. And we have a link. Well, our link takes us to an archive.zip. We can download that. I don't actually need to, but I wanted to, can you see that? Okay, hopefully you can. So I've already downloaded all these because I wasn't sure what the bandwidth was going to be like here. One thing that you'll want to do is keep track of where you found the archives, because all of my downloads are all named archive.zip. So you have to keep track of where you got things. Now in this case, if you just downloaded and didn't change the names of them, your web browser is going to take care of calling one of them Archive 1, Archive 2, Archive 3, Archive 4. Okay, but still, where did you get it from? In what order? Now in my case, so this first one is the C-Tech from July. So if there's 7-zip. So if I go to July C-Tech, we see that inside of that is a file. We extract the file, or we attempt to extract the file, and it says, great, what's the password? Well, again, some people got hung up here. I said, you've already seen the password. You should have already seen the passwords because you should have cracked those hashes. So if you smash together the 3 words from the first set, hackers, sneakers, matrix, that's your password. So hackers, sneakers, matrix, and it'll extract the file. Now, I don't need to keep this copied, so we can see that this is the same, just looking at size-wise, 71 kilobytes. That's the July CTF file. If we look at this file, it looks like a lot of garbage. But if we go all the way to the very end, oh, this one actually didn't have any padding in it. Nice. Yes, this is base 64. So we can still do this online. So we'll use base 64 decode. We'll drop it in here, tell it to decode. We can open the file. In this case, I've actually already saved it out. And that is, where is it? Decoded July CTF. So we open up this file and we see client handshake traffic secret. Who recognizes this pattern? I'll say, Andrew, you definitely better because I taught you this in class. So yeah, anybody that was my student this last semester had a tiny bit of advantage because we actually use these files in class. So this is an SSL session key file. So we will use this later on. This is a tool, and again, if you were following the Twitter hints, this is a tool that you will combine later on. So this is something from the good side in that sci-fi trope that we're going to take over to the evil side, and it's going to help us out. Okay. Now, we need to step back. We've gone as far as we can down that road. So let's come back to, nope, here it was. Come back here. I'm going to refresh so that I get the latest cookies. And I'm going to quickly come down here and grab the current value of this path cookie. And by the way, yes, this does change every minute. That's why they're set to expire every minute. So hurry, take this before it disappears. You'll download yet another archive. So this is the July random, is what I just called it. And if we go to 7-zip, let's go into July random. We once again find that there is a file named file. So we extract that. And this one is going to overwrite. That's fine, because I've already got a copy of it. But this is, again, where you have to manage your files. Because here's the after the fact report, all of the files that you can download from me are named archive.zip. All of the archive.zip files contain a single file named file. So you have to manage your data, figure out what you've done with things. Okay, let's open that one up. And let's see, so this would be July random file. So that's this. Open it with Notepad. Lo and behold, we once again find what sure looks like base 64, and the computer is getting slow. All right. And we go to the very end. Hey, this one at least has some padding in it. Yes, this, once again, is a base 64 encoded file. So July random file, we decode it. Success, download. Now this one, you notice, this is a JPEG. Well, I've already downloaded it, so July random. There we go. Decoded July random JPEG file. Thank you, but our princess is in another castle. Again, sticking with the old school video games. By the way, my original intent was to name this CTF Retro, but Kyle stole my name in June. Because if he played the CTF back in June, he named it Retro. So thanks, Kyle. So that's why I ended up naming mine Packets. Okay, so that too was a dead end. Now, lots of people were stuck here, and this is where I mentioned that in my hints, I mentioned that configuration mistake wasn't actually a mistake. I made several mentions about the sci-fi trope of the prime universe versus the mirror universe, or our world and the upside down, etc., and was hoping that you would get back to looking at this certificate. Now, certificate not valid. If we actually look at it, we'll see that it's issued to thatguyisevil.secdsm-minictf.org. So it's a different server on the same domain. So let's see, I thought that I already had this open somewhere, but oh well, whatever. We will, all right, let's use this one. Delete that, and then, like I said, the server name was ThatGuy and if we go there, well, it really helps if I really can't type. Okay, ThatGuy. There we go. And we get the Apache default page. Now, I noticed that a few people saw this, thought that it was a server misconfiguration, but they overlooked the fact that we're not even in my domain. This is actually Mini-CTF.secdsm.org. When you go to the home page on ThatGuy, you get a 302 that redirects you. And again, one of the Twitter hints was that in the good world, in the prime universe, the home page is a cookie store. In the bad world, that's been destroyed. So try landing somewhere else. So let's come back here. Let's fix my typo. And where's someplace else that we knew existed in the prime world that would be in the mirror? Well, there was C-Tech astronomy, right? Astronomy. We go there, and once again, we still get the same, our friend from Zelda telling us to take this. We once again get an archive. Now this one is the evil C-Tech. So let's open up that file. Once again, we see file. We can extract file. It's not password protected. Sure, go ahead and override it because once again, I don't actually care. Oh, hey, somehow I ended up on a different tab. Okay, back to base 64. We need the evil C-Tech. There it is, evil C-Tech file. We can look at it if we want, but trust me, it's base 64 encoded, and at 182 kilobytes, it'll take Notepad forever. So let's just decode this, pull it down, and this time we get a PNG. So I don't actually need to pull it down because I've already pulled it down. So evil C-Tech decode July, nope. Where's that? There we go. Decoded evil C-Tech. Damn it. Once again, we get the same. Our princess is in another castle. So again, in the C-Tech astronomy folder, on the prime universe, on the main server, the good world, we got something useful. But on the upside down, we get a note that our princess is in a different castle. So what you actually needed to do is, again, these are mirrored. So let's come back to, there we go. Come back to the place where we found that 1 minute expiring cookie. Refresh so that we have the cookie current. Grab that temporary directory. But let's go there in the upside down. Which one of these folders was the upside down? There we go. There's the upside down. And the server is still live, so I haven't slowed things down. This is actually changing every minute, so I have to get on this. Okay. Again, we're very familiar with this page, but it is a different one. We once again get archive. Now this one, when you download it, you would notice that it's quite a bit larger. So this is the evil random archive, and we'll see that this one is actually 24 megabytes. So let's grab hold of it. Evil random. Once again, it has a file named file. Let's extract it. And yes, overwrite. But once again, we're prompted for a password. So what do we suppose the password is for this one? Let's combine the other three words, which were Archie, Gopher, and Telnet. So I actually, honestly, I thought this would be solved in 6 hours or so. I was concerned that somebody would solve this thing before the meeting actually started. Since we released this between noon and 2, I was concerned that somebody would have this thing done before 6 o'clock. I did not expect it to take a week and 2 or 3 dozen hints. Tom ended up solving it, Tom Pohl, of course. And Tom actually, he didn't solve the cipher, although other people, I know at least Gertog and I think Derek, and a couple people did solve the cipher without hints. Tom didn't solve the cipher even with the hints, but the one hint that said that it goes to Vimeo, Tom then scrubbed Vimeo, found that guy's account on Vimeo, and found the video. That's exactly a Tom thing. And that's, it's hacking. It's a CTF. However it works. I don't call that cheating. Tom still got it. So anyway, so I've extracted that file now. Of course, that file, the evil random file, is extracted. It's 34 meg or 33.4 meg. So I'm not going to bother trying to open that in Notepad. I assure you, it too is base 64 encoded. We can dump it up here to base 64 decode it, and yeah, this is going to take a little bit. So this one will end up being a binary file. I don't remember how long this is going to take, especially on the venue's Wi-Fi. Tell you what, trust me, it ends up being a binary file. Evil random file. Where is that? Evil CTEC. Evil random archive. Oh, there we go. Decoded evil random.bin. There we go. I forgot that it comes down as a file. The beginning it was decoded. So if you examine this, like on a Linux box or something, you'll find out that this is actually a PCAP, which also, if you remember the tool that we got, the SSL session keys, that makes sense that this would be a PCAP. So now we need to open the one thing that we need a separate program, that we can't do this in a web browser. We actually do need Wireshark. So here it is. I had already opened it. Here's our PCAP. Now you can scroll through here, you can look through. Let's take a look at our conversations. Inside here we've got some TCP or some UDP conversations. Typical CTF fashion, let's look at the TCP stuff first. Scroll through here, we can see some port 80 and some port 443 traffic. So most of it looks like our conversations are actually encrypted, but some of them weren't. So let's take a quick look at our objects in HTTP. We can see that we have a handful we have a secret. Well, that's kind of interesting. Maybe we would want to take a look at that. Take this, that's the Zelda graphic. We've got the icon. We've got at least one of the archive.zips, which if you extract that ends up being one of the princess, I think, or maybe that might be the keys themselves. But since this is just answers, the answer's not here. Feel free to look at these, but this is not what we need. What we actually need to do is we need to load those session keys, which we do by going to Preferences, expand our protocols. We want to go down and find the TLS protocol, pre-master master secret log file name. So this is where we are going to grab our keys, which was, what was that, July CTEC, right? Is it that? Tell you what, before I go, let's double check this. Decoded July, yep, that was it. All right, so decoded July CTEC. We'll open that. Now what we'll notice is that this TLS traffic, we can actually see inside of it, where we see these. And we could walk through it if you wanted, or we can speed things up. We'll look at objects now, and we now see that amongst everything else, we have one of these objects is named winning. Winning.html. What was that, Andrew? No, I'm not quite that evil. Or just not that much of a fan of Charlie Sheen. All right, so in Wireshark, I'm now on the particular packet that came across. We can expand and look at the HTML. We see that it's the winning file, and it tells you winning is being the first person to tweet at SecDSM, at ThatGuyEgo. The flag is SecDSM. His white hat is a little dirty. And yes, over the years, my white hat has gotten a few smudges on it. Any questions? It's still up if you want to go home and walk through these stages. The servers are still up. Thanks.